Tyler and Rachel had spent 15 years hunting treasures in forgotten places across the Midwest. When they pried open the rusted metal box hidden beneath rotting floorboards in an abandoned Michigan house, they found a masterpiece, a legendary piece of Swiss craftsmanship, one of only 6 ever made, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Days before the New York auction that would change their lives forever, everything suddenly stopped. Tyler Bennett and Rachel Moore had been doing this for 15 years, traveling from town to town, estate sale to estate sale, searching through the belongings of people who had long since passed away. They made their living finding value where others saw only junk. They worked well together. They had built a modest but sustainable business. The tip about the Michigan property came from a real estate agent they had worked with before. An old wooden house in a rural area, sitting empty for decades. The agent mentioned it was being sold for almost nothing. The structure was barely standing and no one wanted to deal with the demolition costs. Tyler and Rachel exchanged a look. Properties like this were exactly what they searched for. They made the drive on a cold November morning. The house sat at the end of a long dirt road surrounded by bare trees and overgrown grass. They grabbed their equipment from the truck. Flashlights, crowbars, heavy gloves. Tyler pushed open the front door, which groaned on rusted hinges. Hours passed. They found little worth taking. Tyler was beginning to think this trip had been a waste of time. Then Rachel called out from near the staircase. She had been walking across the floor when something caught her attention. Tyler joined her. He tapped the floorboards with his crowbar. Rachel was right. There was definitely empty space underneath. He worked carefully, prying up the boards one by one. There was something metallic. A metal box roughly the size of a shoebox. Rust covered every surface. Tyler used his crowbar to break the seal. The lid resisted, then gave way with a grinding sound. Inside, wrapped in deteriorating cloth, was a watch. Rachel lifted it carefully from the box. She turned it over in her hands, examining the engravings more closely. Back home, Rachel spent the entire evening searching through watch collector databases and auction records. Tyler cleaned the piece gently, revealing more of its stunning details. By midnight, Rachel had found something. A reference to a limited series produced by a legendary Swiss manufacturer. Only 6 watches in this particular design had ever been made. Tyler contacted a specialist in Detroit the next morning. He explained what they had discovered and asked if they could bring the watch in for authentication. The specialist agreed to see them that afternoon. They made the drive to Detroit with the watch secured in a padded case. The specialist's shop was small but clearly belonged to someone who knew their craft. Workbenches covered in tools, shelves lined with timepieces from different eras. The specialist took the watch from Rachel. He worked in silence for nearly an hour, checking details, comparing measurements, studying every engraving. Tyler and Rachel waited, barely breathing. Finally, he looked up. He explained that this was indeed one of the 6 commissioned pieces. According to collector records, this specific watch had been declared lost decades ago. No one knew what had happened to it. Then he told them the estimated value, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly more at the right auction. News traveled fast in the collector community. Within days, a prestigious New York auction house contacted them. They specialized in rare timepieces and wanted to handle the sale. They projected significant bidding interest from international collectors. Tyler and Rachel prepared for their lives to change. They imagined what they could do with that kind of money. The auction house scheduled the sales. They created a detailed catalog entry. They photographed the watch professionally. Everything was moving forward exactly as planned. Then, just 3 days before the auction, Rachel received a phone call. The sale had been postponed indefinitely. No specific reason given, just that there had been complications during the final inspection process. Tyler tried calling the auction house. They were polite but vague. Someone would contact them soon with more information. Finally, nearly 2 weeks later, they received a call from the auction house's legal department. They needed to come to New York immediately. There were matters that required discussion in person. Tyler and Rachel made the trip, filled with dread. They met with lawyers and the auction house's master watchmaker in a conference room overlooking the city. The watchmaker explained what had been discovered. During his final inspection, performing routine examination of the internal mechanism, he had found something. A tiny engraved signature hidden in a location known only to the original craftsman and the person who commissioned the piece. The signature matched perfectly. More importantly, it matched the name of a man who had reported this exact watch stolen in 1967. The watch had never been legally sold or transferred. It had simply disappeared. The man who commissioned the watch had been a wealthy Detroit industrialist. The industrialist's surviving great-grandchildren had been located. They had legal claim to the watch. It was being returned to them. Tyler felt his stomach drop. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. After everything, they were walking away with nothing. But the lawyer continued. Tyler and Rachel would receive a finder's fee. It was substantially less than what they might have earned at auction, but it was still a significant amount. Enough to make a real difference in their lives. The meeting ended. They signed the necessary paperwork. The watch would be returned to its rightful heirs. Tyler looked at Rachel and smiled. She smiled back. They hadn't gotten rich. They hadn't changed their lives in the dramatic way they had imagined, but they had solved a mystery that had puzzled collectors for over 50 years. They had returned something precious to a family that had lost it decades ago. And you, if you had found something incredibly valuable that legally belonged to someone else, would you have felt satisfied with just the story?